Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host Sonali Nigam, and today I'm joined by Bobby Russell, Managing Director at Contact Business Finance Limited. Hi, Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, again, my name is Bobby Russell at Contact Business Finance. I'm the managing director of the fastest growing invoice finance brokerage in the Midlands. We are responsible for putting businesses in contact with the most suitable lenders. We offer a free of cost compare the market service. So, we do a quick fact find, listen to a business owner's needs, and then tailor a funding solution suitable for their business.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering that, Bobby. We were talking before the interview how invoice financing is one of the key areas where you've been working. So tell us more about your business so that our viewers get to know more about you and what you do in terms of the business.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, we're a finance brokerage. So we are the middleman between a business and a lender. So within the invoice finance sector in particular, it's unregulated. So there's a lot of financial jargon, there's a lot of terminology that business owners simply don't understand. So we help break it down for them, help them understand it. So before they sign any contract or any, invoice finance facility with a specific lender, they're fully aware what they're signing up for, basically. So we break it down for them, make it easy for them to understand. But also the power of being a broker is that the lenders have to sharpen their pencil to give the business a good deal from the outset. So yeah, we can compare the market, but because these lenders know that we're comparing the market, they're generally a lot more competitive sending us an offer rather than the client speaking to the lender direct. So yeah, we're a little bit of a position of power.
Interesting. Bobby, what do you see as the biggest challenge for your industry and how are you going to overcome it?
Okay, so within financial services, it's not just, invoice finance, but within the financial services sector, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of terminology that SMEs, business owners simply don't understand, and they're not experts. So I find it a real challenge that not all lenders work on the same, on the same path. So they all use different terminology, which I actually sometimes think banks and some independent lenders sometimes purposely make it hard for business owners to understand. So
Right.
that's again, we're not just a compare the market service to go out and get our clients the best deal. But we
Right.
also want to make sure that we educate our clients so they know what they're signing up for, but also that they understand what different things mean, and we can help break it down for them.
No, that's quite interesting the way you've mentioned about it. And because there are a lot of business owners listening to you, what are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
I think some common misconceptions about running a business is that it's easy. It's certainly not. Obviously, I've only run the business for 6 years, and I thought I knew a lot more previously. So I've learned a lot from our mistakes, and the reason why I kind of attribute our growth to is from learning those mistakes sooner rather than later. If I'm totally honest with you, but um, but yeah, I think common misconceptions, especially in terms of what we specialize in terms of invoice finance, because what I'll start with, there's only around 45,000 businesses within the UK that use invoice finance. So when you
Mhm.
compare that to the amount of businesses that are using alternative methods of finance, like a credit card, which obviously
Right.
the fee can be absolutely astronomical, it's there's obviously a real problem there because an invoice finance facility, it can grow alongside your business. So a
Right.
typical business loan, once you run out of that money that a lender has given you, you
Mhm.
then have to knock the door to potentially get another loan, or you simply run out of cash. Whereas an invoice finance facility is simply raising money from your outstanding sales invoices. You can
Mhm.
only borrow money if you're owed money in the first place, and it'll grow with you. So it's a perfect weapon to have in your armory for a growing business. But yeah, that's a common misconception that we're often finding because a lot of people think invoice finance is only for struggling businesses that are struggling to
Right.
get paid. But
Uh-huh.
that sometimes is the case because it's very important to release cash from your sales ledger, from your outstanding invoices. but also it's the growing businesses that, are sick of waiting to get paid before they move on to the next job. So you can move on to the next job a lot quicker and grow a lot more efficiently. So yeah, that's a common misconception we're often facing.
Right, Bobby, you talked about the growth point as well during this conversation, and we see a lot of companies acquiring businesses, taking on debt or partners to fuel growth. What is this like in your industry, and do you have an opinion about it?
Um, yeah, so do you mean from a lender's point of view?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of lenders that are popping up left, right, and centre in terms of offering many different businesses, many different forms of finance. I think again, another benefit of using a broker in that instance is that we can kind of do a bit of due diligence for our clients on the lenders that are actually advertising certain products. Because a lot of, in the commercial finance space in particular, a lot of it is unregulated. So, anybody can open an invoice finance company. There's a lot of loan providers that, again, still work in the unregulated space, even when it comes down to property. So, yeah, I think another benefit of using a middleman like ourselves is that we understand the market, but we also know the lenders that work within that space, who does a good job, who does a bad job, and what appetite each lender has. So I know, for example, a business owner, he might have a cracking business, but he might have a little bit of personal adverse information against his name. If he approaches the high street bank, his current banker, they might automatically say no to whatever form of finance he's after, whether it be an overdraft, an invoice finance facility, a loan. But just because the bank has said no doesn't mean that there's not an independent lender out there that would also have the same approach as the bank. So there is a lot more lenders that have a more commercial appetite that can say yes to many opportunities that the banks would say no to. But it's very important that business owners and SMEs out there, just because they get turned down by the bank, they need to know that there is other facilities for them.
That is available. No, no, completely. And that's very interesting. And to be honest, Bobby, one question that comes up in my mind, what are your aspirations for your company in the next 5 years? Where do
Okay.
you see yourself?
Okay, good question. So at the minute, we are the Midlands fastest invoice finance brokerage. We'd like to take that nationwide. So we do really well with word of mouth, self-generated leads, local introducers referring us work. We don't spend too much money online, whereas over the next 5 years, the plan is to spend more money in terms of generating leads online. But
Right,
that's only going to be good if we grow our team internally, because at the minute we can't cope with some of the lead flow. So
right.
once we grow our team internally, we put the foundations in place, we'll start generating more business with alternative marketing methods. But yeah, the plan for the next 5 years is to be the fastest growing invoice finance brokerage within the UK. But we also want to have specialists within the business in terms of different forms of finance. So we've already got property finance specialist. We've already got a gentleman within the business that just does business loans. There's going to be me with invoice finance facilities. And then long term, yeah, why not go with the whole financial spectrum, get somebody in for specific asset finance, credit insurance, the whole lot.
Interesting. We've talked about different areas about your business, and one thing that we didn't touch about was your personal life. So, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business? How do you strike that perfect balance between the two, if I can ask that?
Okay. The honest answer is I struggle, if I'm totally honest with you. So yeah, I'm always putting methods in motion to help, work-life balance and to not have, so many arguments at home. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to have three lovely children, of which I I do, sometimes I do miss out on certain bits, but the one thing I know, the good thing I've implemented recently, I don't work on weekends anymore. So historically, I'd always have the phone on, the laptop on, and if something needed doing, I'd always see to it on a weekend. But now, obviously, we've got a team that can still look after people's needs 7 days a week. That's allowed me to obviously have a little bit of a rest at home. But yeah, working so many hours with with three kids at home. Yeah, I don't work weekends anymore. I try and turn my phone off come a certain time of the day, which sometimes is very difficult. But yeah, it's hard. But again, that's for every business owner.
True.
It's about creating that balance. But once you get that balance, I'd like to think it would be work could be a little bit more smoother as well.
True, very true. So we've talked about your team as being the crucial part. So when you are away, they are able to manage it. So what qualities do you look for in employees when you hire them, and how do you foster a positive and a productive work environment?
Okay, good question. So within within our world, it's because we work in the world of financial services. We, I think it struggles with that personality. So
Right.
it's not exactly the sexiest topic, invoice finance. We're not really selling a product. Financial services, we're not really selling a physical product. We're selling a service. So people buy from people. So the first quality I look for when employing somebody is, do I get along with them? And could I see
Mm,
myself working with them for X, Y, Z years? So yeah, I like to look for people's people. And yeah, I think keeping hold of good people, as long as you treat people the way you wish to be treated yourself, I'd like to think long term that's how employers would keep hold of successful employees. We give each people within the business responsibility.
right.
So obviously, in order to give people responsibility, you've got to have trust in them. So
Right.
firstly, we like them to understand the product, because within any sort of like financial facility, within any product, it's very easy to gain somebody's trust, but it
Mm-hmm.
takes time. So it could
Right.
take a typical, so somebody that could refer us work is an accountant, for example. It could take us years to build a relationship with an accountant. But as soon as you get something wrong within financial services, you lose all elements of trust. So although it's taking you years to build a relationship, it could take you minutes to lose that
You
relationship.
lose it.
So in order to create a positive work environment, we like people to understand what they're talking about. So
Mhm.
I always make it very clear, and I've made it clear to a young colleague of mine this morning, don't feel stupid by asking me the same questions over and over again, because it's very important that I understand the products that essentially we are selling and we are helping our clients with. So yeah, to make it a positive work environment, no question is ever a silly question. Feel free and feel confident to ask me the same thing over and over again, because it's very important for me that my employees understand what we do. And yeah, I'd like to say we keep it a nice positive work environment as well, by just having that family feel, being a team.
Right, that's interesting and inspirational at the same time. And
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
sure our audience have learned and picked up so many things. So, is there any closing remark or maybe a golden nugget that you would like to share with the audience?
Oh, golden nugget. Okay. Bit cheesy, but yeah, with regards to business finance, cash isn't king, cash flow is. Again, I'm Bobby Russell, Managing Director at Contact Business Finance, and we put businesses in contact with the most suitable lenders. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Bobby, thank you so much for your time today. It was great meeting you and learning so much about your journey. And I really enjoyed podcasting you. And to everyone watching, I look forward to see you in my next episode. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.